I am Pegasus, and this is the Utah campaign to abolish nuclearism. I'm here with Tosh Kano, and uh, I believe that we are live streaming onto YouTube. So I'll double check that in a minute. But go ahead, Tosh Kano, who's you were in utero 80 years ago today. Tosh, go ahead and tell us what your experience was in Japan at that time and in the years after that. Go ahead, Tosh.
If the bomb was dropped today, July 16th? No, 17th.
Oh yeah, in Japan right now it is
No,
July 17th.
July 16th.
Yeah.
I probably born deformed because I was not fully 12 weeks along. That's what bad about the radioactivity. And that's what bad about a nuclear weapon. It's not just the explosion. It releases the radioactive material in the air, and the people body absorb that. And so many people were born after me deformed. So I was really lucky to survive intact. But August 6th was a Monday morning. It was a beautiful day in Hiroshima. Not a single cloud in the sky, just absolutely blue sky. And three B-29 came in from the southwest, and two of them took off to take the scientific data and pictures. And Enola Gay continued to come in at 30,000 feet and drop the little boy from the Bombay. And after 43 seconds, exploded 1,900 feet above the ground. And the concussion force went out 12 to 14 miles out. And we were only less than a half a mile from the ground zero. When that force came to us, it was about 8 pounds per square inch. That equates to 562 G's. And our house was blown apart, tumbled through the block, and my mother was inside, flying through with me in it.
I think is your video frozen, Tosh? The last I heard was that your mother, Tosh Kano, is our Utah civilian who was in Japan at the time, Habakusha. In it, can you go back to that part of the story, please?
So, picture on my left is the picture above was taken before the bomb, and down below it was taken August 20th, 2 weeks after the bomb. You could see picture above, you see all those houses packed together next to each other as far as your eyes could see. Now down below it was all gone except few reinforced concrete building is standing. Everything else been blown away and burned. So that was taken 2 weeks after the bomb. That was taken 1.2 kilometer away from the ground zero. And 80,000 people have vanished when the bomb blew up. At the end of the year in 1945, 345 people have perished. And my brother, too. He was only 16 months old.
Do you have any other siblings, Tosh?
No, I don't.
But obviously your mother survived in order long enough to give birth to you. What year did she pass?
The only comment that I have is that today we are in such a very difficult condition today between Ukraine and Russia. Russia have lost 500,000 soldiers, and I'm afraid that Putin is so crazy that I think he's gonna uh, he might be use what I call tactical nuclear weapon, which is a smaller nuclear bomb uh, with less radioactive material released in the air, but still kills about 100,000 people. But he is so crazy, he's losing. So my biggest fear is that he's going to use that tactical weapon against the Ukraine, and and I don't know what's going to happen after that.
Doug, did you have a question for Tosh?
No, not right now.
Okay. There's a lot more to Tosh's story that you can see in the book you wrote, Tosh.
Yeah, that's my book.
Yeah. Toshiharu and Rita Kano's book. That Rita helped you with that book. You've survived. You've lived longer than so many beloved people in your life, including like most of us live longer than our mothers. But what year did your mother pass, and was it radiation related?
Yeah, radioactivity was really hard on my body. So when I was born, 6 months after, I totally lost the ability to fight against the disease. So I got almost every children's disease before the age 15. I had mumps 7 times. I could never get immune to the mumps. I keep getting them. Then I had a kidney failure. I had the tuberculosis. I lost 20% of my left lungs. I had rheumatic fever. You could name it. And doctor told my mother, "Why are you helping this boy? He's not going to live. He's going to die. So
Mm.
just let him go." And she said, "No way. I already lost my other boy. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to continue to care for him." So I owe a lot to my mother.
Yeah. Um, so tragic that so many other parts of your story are in this book. It's about a 200-page book, I think. Um, in any case, people can get a hold of the book Passport to Hiroshima to learn more about your book and your story. One of the stories in that book, I believe, is when you talked to was it Colonel Tibbet, the one that was part of the mission that dropped the bomb and had a hard time believing that you were that close to the hypocenter. The miraculous nature of you and your mother surviving so close to the hypocenter of the first nuclear bomb used in war, the second nuclear bomb used in human history.
So, in my opinion, Marcus, it's very important to stop the fighting between Ukraine and Russia, because the longer it lasts, there's a danger of having a nuclear war.
Right. As we've gone on through time since these first three bombs of 1945 of the gadget in New Mexico, and then Fat Man and Little Boy in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. A few weeks later, the world, especially the two superpowers, went on to build so many more nuclear weapons and still hold the world hostage with this. And now there's so many more nuclear powers, including Israel, including India. So this is an enormous problem. The danger gets worse every year. If you've heard of the atomic scientists and the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, they try to give a demarcation of how close we are to the end of the world with their clock. Every January, they put on how many seconds to midnight, meaning the doomsday moment. So thank you, Tosh, for reminding us that right now with Ukraine and Russia being one of the top armed states, I think it has more nuclear weapons deployed or present and ready to go than the United States. It's very dangerous situation, and nobody knows when the world will escalate, when people in the world, when a few people with their fingers on the button, metaphorically and physically, will actually push that button, and then our asses are all going to be gone. We'll probably play that at the end of this video, just because it is so. That's another way to try to wrap our minds and our spirits around the problem of nuclearism. So, Tosh, are you glad you survived all these years? The answer is obviously yes, but tell me something positive about how you're here and what you can say as a hibakusha.
Yeah, I'm very glad that I was able to survive, and my mission is to tell the rest of the world how terrible it was to survive. You know, people think that surviving the bomb was not too difficult. No, it was very, very difficult. And some people think that radioactivity was not as bad as they think. I have no idea where he got that idea from. But right now, Marcus, I feel that we are in the quicksand, and it's a never-ending story. Now we're going to be giving weapons to NATO so they could give it to Ukraine, and Putin might interpret that as a aggression to Russia. So you never know what he's gonna do.
Right. In the year 2025, right now, the 80th anniversary, that I agree with you is the number one or two obvious threats. The person that's in the White House in the United States is another loose cannon, so to speak, was the old expression. Before there was nuclear weapons, there was cannons, and before that, there was lots of other weapons through history. But this is just so insanely devastating, as your pictures are showing us, Tosh, that the before and after, and that all those buildings are wiped out. It's hard to fathom, and that's one of the reasons why it's important that artists and musicians continue to stay involved as they have been for decades to help try to explain in the same way that Tosh, you are able to explain with words from your spirit in your body that miraculously survived. That thank heavens for that. So please tell us one more time before we move on to some more questions and answers from Doug. But in the year 2045, 20 years from now, we hope Putin's not in charge. We hope that Trump is not in charge. Other violent and insane actors might be in charge. What is your message to people 20 years from now? If we have not gotten rid of the nuclear bombs yet, what do you want to say to the people of the future about nuclear bombs?
I tell you, I'm hoping that in 20 years, the United States and Japan will sign the non-nuclear treaty I don't know why they're resisting. Can you imagine Japan refused to sign? They should be first one to line up and sign the treaty, but they are refusing to sign. I just don't get it.
Right.
What treaty is that?
Doug says, which treaty?
What's
TPNW.
that?
Doug was asking which treaty. I think you're referring to the TPNW. Which treaty? Which treaty do you want Japan to sign?
I'm talking about the nuclear treaty that Salt Lake City signed
Like the
and
mayor's
South Salt Lake signed. That's what I'm talking about.
right, the pledge that cities. Doug, what is the name of that pledge?
Well, I think it was in support of the TPNW.
Right.
It's back from the brink proposal to get mayors to sign on or public officials to sign on to support all the 5 steps of the back from the brink program.
5 steps. Yes.
Right. Well, Utah State have not signed it.
Yeah. For those of you who are just joining us, we're talking with and hearing from Tosh Kano. And we're talking specifically about at this moment the Back from the Brink initiative to get different bodies of, governments, whether they're cities, states, counties, and nations, to sign on to the 5 steps needed to rid the world of nuclear weapons. And Tosh was saying a few minutes ago, if we're still alive, if this planet still survives, if people are still around, without having a nuclear explosion again, especially one that is targeting humanity, because sometimes people still blow off nuclear bombs as tests, and they're not killing as many as they would if it was in a populated area, the way that it is in these photographs here of Hiroshima from 80 years ago. But if we make it another 20 years to the 100th anniversary of the bomb, we are praying that there will be an end to all nuclear weapons, and that Tosh said that sometime in between now, 2025, and 2045, Japan will have signed on to this pledge, this promise to do the 5 steps and to help be part of the treaty for the prohibition of nuclear weapons. Doug, do you remember offhand how many states, how many nations have signed on right now to the TPNW?
No, I don't remember, but the idea is for the elimination of nuclear weapons. They have 5 steps to achieve that.
Yes.
But none of the nuclear states have signed on, obviously.
Right.
But I think it's the majority of nations across the world.
Right. Out of the almost 200 listed nations, I guess there's more nations if you count indigenous folks, indigenous tribes and nations. That's got to be over 200 nations on the planet. Although a lot of indigenous nations are not in that list. I'm not sure how many are allowed in the United Nations, but that is another critical method for helping guide humanity, is these the voices that come from a gathering of nations such as the United Nations. There may be a new one at some point where people can come together representing their people of their bioregion, including the indigenous nations of this planet. So in the over 200 nations that can sign this treaty for the prohibition of nuclear weapons, it would be a nice document and a nice idea for everybody to do that. But more importantly than signing pieces of paper and putting the name of your state, city, county, country on that list is the actual capacity to do something about it, whether that's people that are at the nuclear facilities helping to unplug in a safe way and dismantle all nuclear weapons everywhere, in a good, safe way where the components do not become more dangerous. So we need scientists and technicians to help, whether they are guided by their governments or not. People of conscience need to activate, everybody needs to activate their consciences to do the work to eliminate all nuclear weapons from the face of the earth, because there are so many thousands that are ready to destroy as many people and all of us as possible right now. We do not want that. Right, Tosh?
Right. By the way, I want to give you tidbits.
Yeah.
Right after the bomb was dropped, about 400,000 people have survived in 1945. Today, 2025, that number have dropped below 10,000. And these survivors are dying like flies. So within the next 10 to 15 years, I suspect there'll be just a handful of survivors. So we have to hurry. So I'm going to be wind up only one in 2045.
Right. Yeah. It's your health is much better now than it was 79 years ago and 75 years ago as a young child, a baby and a child, when you had all those problems. So that's a triple miracle, I'd say, about your life, Tosh. That you seem very virile and healthy these days for someone to have had gone through so much. It's just at least three miracles in your life that put you in a very unique place. And I'm so grateful that you've been able to join us, that you're part of the Utah campaign to abolish nuclearism for several years, and that you're able to give this message today on the 80th anniversary of the first nuclear explosion. Doug, do you have any other questions for Tosh?
Yeah, what do you think would be the best way to get the American public involved in this issue? It seems to be off their radar because we've been very lucky to not have an unexplained or explosion of a nuclear weapon. How can we get the public involved?
Hopefully Tosh heard that question. It's how can we get the public involved?
What'd you say? I couldn't hear you.
Doug was asking the question how we can get the public more involved in helping to support the end of all nuclear weapons.
You know, just not myself, but there's so many people in Utah, Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona, and Colorado with down windows.
Right.
How are they feel about us not signing, and Japan is not signing, and all the NATO countries have not signed, including Canada? How do they feel about that? They were used as like a guinea pig too.
Right. So many people were used as guinea pigs, including the Marshallese.
Yep.
Folks from the Marshall Islands. If you're just joining us, this is the Utah campaign to abolish nuclearism with our 80th anniversary commemoration of the first three nuclear bombs starting on July 16th, 80 years ago today, with the nuking of New Mexico and the downwinders that some have still survived there in New Mexico. And then a few weeks later in Hiroshima, like Tosh survived that one. And then in Nagasaki, a few days after the Hiroshima detonation. And there are many commemorations globally. I'll be one of the speakers tomorrow in the one that Physicians for Social Responsibility is doing. If you are interested in getting more information about how to join the movement and the campaigns to abolish nuclearism, you can contact us at UCAN, or you can contact ICAN, which is the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons. Our number here in Utah is 801 382 9824.
I'd like to help you as much as I can.
Yes, we need to use our good energies to help inspire people. Okay.
No, I'm fine. Thank you. I appreciate Tosh's help on this issue.
Yeah. Well, good luck with your move, Tosh, to your new place. And I'm glad, as I said, I'm glad you're still going to be alive and virile and part of this movement to help inspire people with your story. And people can pick up that book and read more of it. And hopefully, we need to keep commemorating the events of these first three bombs over the years for as long as this country exists and maybe for as long as humanity exists. But we hope that we will make progress in getting rid of nuclear weapons during, immediately, as well as by the 100th anniversary 20 years from now. Any other messages you have for the future beings?
So, are you going to be doing anything on August 6th this year?
Oh, is the Utah Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons going to do anything?
Well, it's 80th anniversary of dropping the bomb.
Yep, on you, your family, your people, and the whole.
I know Japan's got a great big plan for that.
Hopefully their plan includes signing on to the Treaty for the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons.
Hi, Tosh. Haven't seen you for a long time.
Hi, John.
I missed the video, but I'm going to. I hope it's all recorded so I can watch it again.
The photograph of the before and after, what city that was, when those pictures.
Yeah, John. To my left, I got two pictures. One above is the picture was taken before the bomb was dropped.
Yeah.
And down below was taken August 20th, 2 weeks after the bomb. You could see how devastating it was.
Yes.
And it can happen
Picture above was houses were next to each other. Down below was nothing left except the reinforced concrete building still standing. But you could see, as far as I could see, there's devastated.
Yeah. Well, this is a very important lesson, I think, that we have human beings who are capable of doing this. They're capable of calling for a detonation on a city, two cities. We know that for sure. That's a fact. We have humans that are willing to do it.
Yeah.
And they are in sharp contrast to the four of us humans and many thousands, if not millions more, who are unwilling to do it. And the issue is getting those people who are willing to do it to back away from those triggers, and those who are on the fence, neither in our camp in this meeting today and in the whole nuclear abolition movement, or in the camp of people willing to do it, the despots and other insane folks that have access to those bombs. People that are on the fence are the ones that are the hardest to convince. I think even Mohandas Gandhi pointed out that it's often easier to convert a soldier than it is to convert the people on the fence. The side that we're on is for peace and justice for all the victims, all the Hibakusha, and for the end of all these threats of nuclearism. Thank you, John, for joining us. Thank you, Tosh, for joining us. Thanks, Doug.
Downwinders, if you combine all those people involved in the nuclear weapon manufacturing, there's more people dying more than the Nagasaki and the Hiroshima put together.
You're
Do you
kidding.
know that?
No. That's amazing.
That's how terrible it is. That we have got to stop the this manufacturing the weapon and then uranium. I realized the uranium need to be mined for nuclear power, but those people are dying like flies.
That's amazing.
Have to push that button. Your ass got to go. They're talking about this nuclear war.